When looking for an experience that utilises your senses in a way to enhance that experience, you would expect Edinburgh Zoo to be near top of the list. And in some regards, this is correct. When you enter the Birds of Paradise Sanctuary, you can feel a drastic change instantly from the cold winters of central Scotland to the intense heats of the tropics. You can hear the birds singing, waterfalls splashing off rocks, and a humidity you can feel in your winter jacket. The aquarium section has that familiar greenhouse smell with the sounds of air bubbles and filters filtrating the water, while the main lights are down low to make the lights from the tank shine to create the focal point. You can see animal cages or pens, you hear them run around on their surfaces, the smells of sawdust, animal excrement and greenery so strong you can taste it. The largest penguin enclosure is in Scotland, awash with little penguins running around, jumping into water, squawking at each other and generally having a good time. It's almost perfect except for the horrible stench of fish combined with salt water and the penguin smell itself. The best sensory experience I got personally was up at the Sunbears. This particular enclosure had glass windows separating us from the bears, and leaning on window frame was a bottle of Iron Brew, with which Sunbear number 1 was adamant to get his tongue around. He was right up against the window, trying to bite at the bottle while his gigantic tongue splashed back and forward. I put my face right next to it and I could feel the suction against the glass, hear his breathing as it battered against the glass, and I could almost feel his breath against my face. It was an incredible experience. So in terms of the animals themselves, you get a good combination of using your sight, hearing, smell, and unfortunately sometimes taste. Obviously, for protection to the animal and to us, touch is not as so much a main sense, but the different environments that you visit, you do feel different temperatures and humidities, so the full 5 senses are used quite frequently. Due to the weather conditions with heavy rain and high winds, the Edinburgh Zoo being on a steep hill, our exploration was limited because the animals at the top of the hill were closed off to us. And when you include the tour and the Q&A sessions, our time in the zoo was limited, preventing us from researching the whole area thoroughly. But from the places I did visit along the way, there is still some interactive experiences. Do make use of your senses. Going back to the Sunbears, the main feature of theirs is their gigantic tongue, and in the area where you can view them there's an enlarged poster of a sunbear's head, and this has a wooden tongue sticking out and stretches across the floor of the area. With the 3 people I was with, I noticed that they all went straight over to it and touched it, sat on it, and was interested by the information surrounding it. You also have little boxes that you can smell and try and guess what it is, and when you do this you will see information of how it relates to the animal too. One such smell box was full of lavender, and right next to it was animal poo, which are 2 completely opposite smells, yet being right next to each other you can still easily smell them both individually. The Badongo Trail was a £2 million project to bring the Forest of Badongo to Edinburgh Zoo, which consists of a large visitor section full of interactive experiences and another section being home to a group of lively chimps. This section has visuals like the Badongo first aid kit, it has more smell sections of examples of what you'd expect to smell in Badongo, and they also have devices like this one that lets you hear and compare different monkey and chimp sounds. Here you can see a map of the route I took on my journey, and overall I would say that the zoo is lacking in experiences in between animal enclosures. There's little to see or do. Granted, we were a bit hasty with the torrential rain, but even still, the first part of the journey we only saw information, signs and a statue of a gorilla. During the Q&A session they did show us other interactive boards that are on display, but during my walkthrough I never saw them to get the relevant information. The Q&A session did give us some helpful information though. They explained they have plans to section the zoo into 4 domains: evolution, Australia, wetlands and environment, and how each area has a specific role in the natural world. They explained how by having these 4 sections it would make it easier to make the zoo routes more like a journey rather than the way it is now, which is pretty much here's a map and away you go. Another point to take away from the Q&A session is that the zoo really focuses on research and conservation efforts for the animals to give them a better quality of life and give us a better insight into their lives. At this stage I am still unclear on what I can physically do to enhance the user experience. I did think of an idea of using a zoo R code, which you could scan at each enclosure and it would open an app and give you more information than what is currently provided. I actually think this is an amazing idea and really could work if it was implemented, but it doesn't really tie in well with the sensory experience, so hopefully I will get that idea that I need soon.